Hi everybody, Patrick here from EngineeringShock.com and electroniclessons.com. Pleased to introduce the Betty version 2. And what this is, it's a paintball/airsoft time bomb prop. It's actually got a ton of neat features, and I hope you'll stick around to see what they are. It's going to be a fair bit of talking, but we're also going to do a ton of demonstrations. And I'm also going to sell this in two versions. A rather inexpensive version, and a little bit more. This one is the best version. And what it is it's got the programmable countdown timer, powered up in a second. Combination lock with EEPROM memory, so you can save your 4-digit code even after power off. 5-volt relay, high-powered relay with outputs. Common, normally open, normally closed, so you can switch high-power stuff if you want. Completely isolated from the circuit. Optional siren, 12 volts. It can operate at 9 to 12 volts. All you have to do is plug it into the board. Talk about that a bit more in a minute. The Betty talks to you. I'll show you the Betty one, hopefully by the end of the video if I remember. It was made so long ago. And it also has a wire cut mode. So there's three main features here. Countdown timer, when the timer elapses when in scanning mode. The alarm will sound. You save your 4-digit code into EEPROM memory, so even after powered off, if you want, you can reprogram it as many times as you want. Reprogramming is easy, and it tells you what mode you're in via the little speaker here. Wire cut mode. There's 4 wires on there. If each time you power on the Betty and go into scanning mode, you are asked to select which wire. There are 4 wires from left to right labeled wire 1, 2, 3, 4 on the board. And when you program the wire, the LED here, the green LED, what happens is it says program wire. You hold down the S1 button. The LED will blink once. If you want wire 1 to be the deactivation wire, you let go as soon as that LED blinks once. Then there will be a short delay. If you keep holding it, it'll blink twice. If you want wire 2 to be the deactivation wire, you let go then. And after that, a short delay, blinks 3 times. For wire 3, let go. After that, it blinks 4 times. Let go if you want wire 4 to be the deactivation wire. And if you keep holding it, it'll cycle back to 1, then 2 blinks, then 3 blinks, then 4 blinks. Hopefully that makes sense. You'll see it in a minute. You can cut the wires, or you can merely, it'll come with a bunch of extra wires, so you can actually plug them into the board. They come on little jumpers that just plug into the board, so you can either just plug it to save wire, or you can literally use snips in your part of your paintball game or airsoft game. So, first mode, if you don't go into program mode, you know what your code is. Power it on, it'll introduce itself, the Betty. And one thing I'd like to mention before I keep going, on the back of the PCB, for those of you who have seen Kung Pao, Into the Fist, there's a quote on the back of the printed circuit board for those of you who buy it. Look for it. Gentlemen, from this day forward, you will all refer to me by the name Betty. Mwah. Now that's Master Payne talking. And when you power it up each time, it says Betty. It's actually Master Payne saying Betty, introducing itself. So let's power it on, and we're actually going to have to power it on twice because I'll show you why. So it introduced itself. Betty, program wire. Don't worry about the clock right now. It doesn't matter. So program wire, meaning we're going to program in which wire we want. However, we don't know what code is on the board because we've just opened up our Betty. So what we have to do is power it down. Hold down the S1 button, upper left-hand corner. Enter program mode, enter combination. So I'm going to enter in S1, S2, S3, and S6. Code programmed. So now, even if I power it off, unless you have low batteries, in which case it won't. The data will be corrupted. The code will be 1, 2, 3, 6. So now it says program wire. So remember me talking about that. The method for programming wire? Wire 1. Wire 2. Wire 3, I can let go right now. Or wire 4. I can just let go. Ready, clock. Ready, clock. So now I get to set up my clock. Now, in order to get into countdown timer mode, I press the leftmost button a few times until I see a 0. Now, to go to the one digit to the left, I press S2. To increment the digit that I'm on, I press S3. So I'm going to put, I want to keep this at 0. I want to go to the next digit, to the next two, the tens of seconds. So I'm going to go 40 seconds. Now, I can make my game as long as I want. But I'm going to make my game 40 seconds long, meaning I have 40 seconds to either enter in the right combination or cut wire 4. So if I enter in the wrong combination, the alarm won't go off, or rather the relay won't go off, but it'll say incorrect combination. If I pluck the wrong wire alternately, the alarm will go off, and the alarm will go off or the relay depending on which you're using. Sorry about that, my cat got in the way. So I press S2 again, countdown starts. S1.
System ready. Enter combination.
So I'm going to show you what happens when you enter in an incorrect combination.
Incorrect combination. Enter combination.
So now I can enter in as many incorrect combinations as I want, but I can't pluck the wrong wire. If I pluck the wrong wire, remember 3 wires are always wrong, 1 wire is right. We're not going to touch that right now. We're going to enter in the right combination.
System deactivated. System deactivated. System deactivated.
System deactivated. So now, Betty,
Program wire.
it resets. Now, just to show you, the timer runs out. Who cares? We deactivated the system, and that's success. That's a game over. That's a game over. Whoever deactivated the system won the game. Now we can reset the whole thing, and we will. But first of all, let's unplug it.
Program wire.
Now I did that because I wanted to show you that the code is saved in the internal EEPROM of the microchip of the microcontroller. So, program wire. Let's say wire 1.
Ready clock.
Ready clock. $10 hours. That's how long our game is. And so I can activate it.
System ready.
System ready.
Enter combination.
Wire 1, if I pluck wire 1, which is the leftmost wire, it will deactivate the system. If I unplug any other wire, or don't enter in the right combination until this timer runs out. Now you saw that LED? Resets.
Program wire.
That LED stays on for about 5 seconds, which means that this siren will stay on for a minimum of 5 seconds until that LED goes out, at which point any button will turn the siren off and reboot the system. So our timer's still going. We can reset the timer to whatever we want. Say 9 minutes. Oh, sorry, it it defaults back. Anyway, we'll get back to the timer in a minute. So basically, we can even just let the timer continue to run. You can always reset the timer. It doesn't really matter when, as long as if in this case, the only time it sends the enable signal back to the device is when this reaches 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So let's just keep that one running. Let's plug this wire back in. I'll stop it and plug that wire back in because it can be a little bit difficult to see. What I did to reset the clock while still in operation without doing a reboot was essentially I went back to wire mode and I manually set them all to 0. You can do a system reboot by disabling power, or you can just go back into the timer mode and reset those back to 0. It's actually pretty easy to do. Anyway, so let's program in wire 2, and we will pluck wire 2, which is in this case let's do wire 3. It's the red one. We'll pluck wire 3. So I'll turn it on.
Program wire.
1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Ready clock.
Ready clock. Oops.
combination. System deactivated. System deactivated. System deactivated. 50.
So you want to make sure
Program wire.
that before you start the next game, that you put that wire back into place. And you might need some lighting for it, but there's a little post that it sits in. They fit in very nicely, but you just got to make sure that you place them in correctly. Now, I'll do an assembly video for this later, so I'll actually show you and I'll talk about it in the listing on how to set your wires. Obviously, our time has elapsed, so 3 hours, or 3 minutes. So I've already set my clock. Program in wire 1.
Ready clock.
Ready clock.
System ready. Enter combination.
So again, you've seen me do all the other neat things with this. Again, if I don't, I actually made an error earlier. Your red wire goes in toward the microcontroller. Your black wire goes in towards the relay. Don't reverse those. And again, the enable pin, the enable connector needs to be in there too. Talk about that in the listing. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video, and we're just going to see the time run out. While we're waiting for the last 40 seconds to elapse, you'll notice that there's a big block of wire and some wire cutters. This kit won't come with, this module comes assembled. It won't come with wire cutters, but it'll come with a nice big layer of wire, so you can actually strip those off and place them in onto here. They just strip apart like so, and so you'll get a bunch of those in case you want to get snippy, so it looks cool. Now, both the Betty and the clock have mounting holes, so you can mount this to a project box. I've got project boxes coming in, but they won't be in for a while. So anyway, here we go. Watch the LED. That's louder than it sounds. Louder than it sounds.
Program wire.
Whew, so it reset. It said Betty. Program wire. So again, our code is still 1234. Let's, just for the sake of it, cut one of the wires, just to have the full bomb effect here. So, wire 1.
Ready clock.
20 seconds.
System ready. Enter combination.
Wire 1.
System deactivated. System deactivated. System deactivated. 50.
Resets.
Program wire.
So, there's four standoffs on the left. There's basically an 8-pin header, and the 4 pins on the right are ground. 4 pins on the left are signal. So, one of the 4 pins on the left has to connect to any one of the 4 pins on the right. So that's why it loops around like this. So I'll just take another piece of wire. Doesn't matter which color, you can customize, and I will replace the wire that I just cut. And you can reuse these wires too, and you don't have to cut them. That's really, it just depends on how authentic you want to be, if you want to pull the whole bomb squad type thing. So I know that the clock's still on. As for power, you're going to want to have a good battery for this. Preferably 12 volts. 9 volts will do, but you're definitely going to want to have at least 9 volts, and you're going to want to have a strong 9 volt battery, because a single dollar store battery will not do. I'm having a lot of problems here. Anyway, it's because I can't see in this lighting. Let me just stop the video. Anyhow, the Betty version 2, such as it is. This version comes with the extra wire, modified siren with the header connector, fully assembled clock, fully assembled Betty, a small speaker that plugs directly into the board on the right. And again, the wires, I'll speak about how the wires need to be connected in the listing. Everything you need except for a power supply. Again, 9 to 12 volts, preferably 12. On the input here, labeled V plus for powers for positive DC, and ground for DC ground. So now I'll show you the second version. So this is the other version. Same Betty, same siren, same speaker, different clock. Now this clock is not a countdown timer. It is an alarm-based timer, 24 hours. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore everything else. I am going to, as soon as I power it on for the first time, I'm going to set the time to 00-00 or :00, so basically midnight, and I'm going to set the alarm to 00:05. So I want the alarm to go off at 12:05 a.m. So I'll power it on. 12:59. Hold the left button. It'll say A and then 12. Hold down the rightmost button until it says 0. Or click it, doesn't matter. Left button again. It says B. Sorry, I realized that there might not see much light. You might not be able to see it. 0. So I set it to 59 to 0. I incremented using the right button. Then go to, keep pressing the leftmost button until you get to E. 13. Set 13 to 0. And then press the left button again. Set F to 5. Then press the leftmost button a few more times until you get to until you're back to the time. So when that reaches, when that says 00:05, or rather 12:05 a.m., the alarm will go off. Now, obviously, program wire, ready clock. I've already readied my clock. So now I can enter my combination or cut the right wire, or cut the wrong wire and activate the alarm, or I can wait until 12:05 for the alarm to go off. Now realize, half the time when you're watching through the camera, because of the refresh rate and because there's no shadow over it, it's very difficult for you to see what's going on there. So that alarm will not go off until 12:05. And what will actually happen is it will go off 5 seconds before 12:05, and it will stop at 12:05 on the dot. So I've got less than 5 minutes. If I want to set the game for 30 minutes, I would set the time to 00:00, and I would set the alarm to 00:30. If I wanted it to be a 2-hour game maximum before the alarm goes off, obviously games don't normally last that long, but I could set it to the time to 00:00, set the alarm for 02:00 for 2 hours, and then obviously you don't have to worry too much about program clock. You make sure you know your combination, make sure that you know what wire's been programmed. Obviously you have to get that information, one or the other, to a member of the other team, because you'll be guarding this in all likelihood. However, when I made the Betty, the first version of the Betty, I actually came up with a bunch of different games. I'm going to try to recall those games because I think it might be kind of neat to use them here. But you mount this in a project box. Everything's mountable. The speaker isn't directly mountable, but you can use a piece of glue to easily mount it against a project box. Cut some holes in it so that the audio can be released. The the siren has 2 mounting holes, and actually on the back there is a double-sided tape strip that you can rip off, and it'll just stick to a surface, and quite strongly, I might add. So really very easy to use. Obviously I prefer the countdown timer version, but because I don't have to assemble these clocks, it is cheaper because I only have to assemble I only have to modify the siren, and I have to assemble the Betty, and obviously the time I've put into putting this together, and obviously parts. But the already assembled clock comes to me like this, so all I have to do is interface it properly to my Betty. A little bit less expensive. Now I think I will offer this version 2 in kit form for several dollars less, because it does take about an hour and a half to assemble one of these and to test it properly. But I need for my lab space to open up so that I can actually make a decent video. I'm renovating my lab right now, so I'm kind of working on the carpet outside of the lab, which is quite disappointing, but thanks for watching so far. I appreciate it. If you're still watching, I don't imagine a lot of you are still watching, but I'll pause the video and I'll power it on again when it reaches about 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Now that alarm went off, or sorry, the relay went off. I'll turn it off right now. But the siren didn't.
Program wire.
The siren did not go off because in this case, and this is my fault, I did not add my enable jumper. Again, you have to place your siren connector on, you have to connect the siren, and then there's a 2-pin header there that has to be connected, and that will come with it. So obviously I built that up for nothing, but the relay did turn on as it's supposed to, meaning you could potentially use this to ignite a firework of some kind, such as a bottle rocket to signify that the game is over. But yeah, so you can either use the relay to activate something else high-powered, or you can use it with your siren. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate you watching this. I realize it's been a long video and I've stuttered my way through it, so thanks for watching. I'll make a few more videos that are actually a bit more straight to the point. Take care and thanks again.